9 minutes to go. We need to have our crystal balls now very clear, sharpened, shining, and yeah, we look at it and see who will be the flag bearer today. Of course, many people are saying, oh yes, it's Raila Kalonzo ticket, it is Musalia Kalonzo ticket. So we want to actually, I'll walk over now to where we have a board, then we can have just a brief chat with that. And you tell us what you think and how it will be today.
Let me go first.
Right, so we have Kiptoo going first. So from your own projection, today, who will be in the ticket?
My first projection is that in whatever scenario, Kalonzo is a constant factor. So I'll give Raila Kalonzo ticket, or alternatively Mudavadi Kalonzo ticket. Either of those.
All right.
Musyoka is constant because of the geopolitical nature.
You say number one?
Raila Kalonzo ticket.
Raila Kalonzo.
Yes. The alternative would be Mudavadi Kalonzo. So that tells you Kalonzo is a constant factor in both.
Okay.
Yes.
Agreed.
Mudavadi Kalonzo.
Kalonzo, yes.
Mudavadi. Mudava.
DVD.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
D.
DI, yeah.
Kalonzo.
Kalonzo ticket, yes.
Yeah.
Those are the two viable options that I think are
So call the second one 1B. So 1A, 1B.
1B.
Okay,
1A,
so
1B.
this is 1A.
1A.
And this is 1B.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we come to which other ticket you think is going to fly today?
I can only go for those two.
So you
nothing
go for
more.
those?
Yeah.
Lichuma, you're going for this ticket? Or
No,
you want to be
I will pass. I will pass. And
She's a constitutional commissioner, let her pass.
my reason is that I will want to monitor. But number two, I wish they had a woman.
You wish
they had a woman in that
Of course,
sense.
you being the chair of
Yes.
National and Equality.
So I will pass, but I will have views to give, but I do not want to say who.
Okay. Mureu.
I will also want to pass because of a good reason. As a business person, I don't incline myself to any party politics. I deal with the party, the government in power. The businessmen belong to a party called AGIP, any government in power. All I would say is,
Any government in power.
Any government in
Not
power.
AGIP,
AGIP is the
the
party
petrol
for
station.
businessmen. My prayer is that serenity will prevail, that they will choose leaders that will bring back hope to this country, that will make sure this joblessness situation we're talking about is addressed once and for all.
Okay.
But before I do that, my sister has just talked about a woman. I want to remind my sister here, once Martha Karua said, when she was being challenged, she was being harassed when she was the Minister for Constitution, and she told men who had really, ganged up against her,
all right,
stop looking at me from my head downwards, look at me from my head upwards, we are all the same. And that's what I'm telling the women.
Wonderful.
Look at yourself from here upwards. What is it that you're able to bring on the table? But I choose to pass in that one.
You choose to pass. So we have two of you now passing. Let's come to Professor.
I will take a neutral stand with reservations, but I will make
But you can
comments.
speculate truly. Yeah?
I cannot speculate because I will take a neutral stand.
You'll take a neutral stand. Let's hear from Benji.
All right, mine will be very direct. I go for 1B.
1B, Mudavadi
Kalonzo as the best option.
Why?
The reason is,
Reasons.
if they go for 1A, which is a high probable reason, I'm giving reasons,
Yes.
I happen to have worked very closely for that option in 2013.
Which option? The
1A,
the
as an
1A.
advisor,
yes.
yes.
To whom?
To the vice president at the time.
Okay. This is Kalonzo Musyoka.
Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yes.
So if they go for that option, which they have complained that in 2013, it was rigged out. All right? Let us be open and honest here. So what has changed since then? In fact, that time they were in power. Raila was the prime minister. Kalonzo was the number 2 in government. What has changed then to justify going back to that which failed? Which, again, I think they say in English, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So that would be a hazardous arrangement for me.
The Raila Kalonzo.
The 1A, yeah.
So
therefore, 1B would be what some of us have advocated for loudly.
Mudavadi Kalonzo.
Mudavadi Kalonzo, for many reasons. But we are also aware that there's overwhelming pressure on Honorable Raila for, you could call egotistical reasons or whatever, to not just be a kingmaker. So this is why you've seen all the noise. This is why there's been a stalemate. This is why there's been a delay. We are now, I think, compelled for them to make this announcement because the law requires also that you announce who, how you're going into elections. But also, Debarl,
all right,
it's bad timing, so it makes you question many things because we're all in nominations now. And you know, this should have been a very unique announcement.
Yeah, it should have, but the technicalities also of the rulings that came with Malindi also, I think, has also thrown a murky wrench into the works as well.
I can give a counter argument for 1A. There's something that 1B, as Benji says, it looks good and looks different. The idea of fatigue with the Raila candidature, but something, again, I always have a problem with the 1B. Why do we forget that these elections will be won on turnout? 100% turnout will determine. Question would be, are you likely to get the Raila diehards to come vote in this? The same.
If he says so.
Wait.
He says so.
The same NASA Technical Committee grappled with that. If you remember, their first assertion was, in their estimation, they felt there is a possibility of them, getting a small kind of a backlash. You know, for the 4 years, the Raila, base has been prepared for his last run. If you remember the last 5 years, the concept has always been this, the last bullet, the last bullet, the last bullet, the last bullet. That is a narrative that has already been cultured into the mindset of that group. So it is a good ideal if you have absolute support from Raila. And then the biggest problem with that 1B again, what do you give Raila in that?
That's
an answer no one wants to give.
Can I answer him?
Can we talk about the Raila fatigue as it is right now?
Exactly.
Suppose if we change now to be Kalonzo or Kalonzo Raila, will it work?
Raila cannot be a running mate in either of those.
Why not?
It is impossible for you to have him as a running mate because, if you ask me, his supporters are this kind of supporters that take something or nothing. To the extent that if you give him a number 2, and you make him a kingmaker, better a kingmaker because he remains above the fray and supports a team.
But
making it as an
in fact, what you're saying is the solution.
In fact, the only reason why it has been difficult to have a different alternative is because whereas Kalonzo is a constant factor that can be a number 2 or a number 1, Raila cannot be a number 2. We can only be a number 1 or a kingmaker.
All right.
Nothing.
So we have Raila a kingmaker, and we don't have Raila running for presidency.
Why the fatigue? I'm not able to follow.
Oh, the fatigue would be the same. No, he has run in 2007, he has run in 2013. The question would be, as Benji said,
let me explain.
What different are you offering?
All right.
It is, Madam Commissioner, some of us have done a lot of work in this area. Raila has been running for president for exactly 2 decades now. I think that is unprecedented in the country.
But he did more.
No, his first run was in 1997. That's actually when I met him.
Raila?
Yes.
Now he ran in 97.
92. DP came to be in 92.
Yes, but Raila ran in 97.
Yes.
And we're now in 2017.
True.
Now, fatigue is a byword for also fear. You see, Raila has a distinction. Yeah, it's also, the fatigue is also a byword for fear because Raila is on record, and I think we're all Kenyans who live in this country, we know. R-A-I. You said Raila phobia, Raila. It's right, R-A-I.
No, it's there.
Raila is also on record as having, quote, won, but not become.
2007.
Correct.
True.
That is a serious allegation, madam.
Yeah, but he's just exercising his constitutional right. So
No,
I think the discussions around the
madam,
fatigue,
allow me, indulge
Yeah.
me, allow me to go categorically into this issue where we have seen the IEBC go home from the last election, again, because of suspicions that they have blocked the presidency of Raila Odinga. Having said that, and knowing the efforts that have been there from former President Moi, etc., to remove Gideon from the initial NASA, where they said they were Ndani, I believe that there are forces that are opposed to this candidature. So the fear then comes in that, 1 second, Kiptoo, that you would run and still the result would be the same.
An answer to that Raila phobia, Benji, is simple. 2016 and 2017, specifically 2016, has been where the whole concept of the officialdom, the incumbency has been obliterated. In what way? The impossibles started happening from late 2015. Can I give you, for example, in Nigerian history, there was no single thought that an incumbent could lose. Jonathan lost. And soon after, in 2016, it was a torpedo effect. In Africa, Yaya Jammeh lost. You can imagine Yaya Jammeh lost. Then come to Trump winning after every indication. So the same thing, I think, an answer to that Raila phobia would be, let us now arrive at this concept. One, there are more new voters who are not hell-bent and held to the old prejudices. However, the concept or the fact that these elections, one, we have not had a new voter based on, or a voter changing the positions from one coalition to the other. That gives him a head start, in the sense that even though there may be that kind of a fatigue, as long as, or in as much as that fatigue arises, we should accept that for the 4 years. Let's give him credit for this. I was so certain that past 2013 he would be finished. As to how he's kept the momentum going, that in 2017 he is someone to be
momentum
considered.
which is not being had by the nomination.
Now, with that momentum kept going, that tells you something. Even though there is fatigue, that fatigue will only affect the, whatever the, like the Jubilee areas, whereby they'll come out to vote against him, but his core area, you still get his turnout coming. So I think that concept that there are these forces that are making it impossible for him to get, that can be challenged by facts that are being happening.
So this will be a sort of a reverse psychology, working with the Raila phobia, not really affecting, you know, the regions and the strongholds of Raila, but from the Jubilee end, the turnout will be from the Jubilee.
And actually that's what they've been saying. That if Raila is a candidate, who will come out to ensure.
Okay,
that is a
let's hear from Mureu.
I've not interacted with this conversation for good reasons, but I think we are seeing what we are seeing from the day before yesterday. Actually, the whole week we've been seeing the revolt against Raila in his own backyard. And if you look, a lot of his people that he thought would actually win are losing. So we cannot pretend that that fatigue is not kicking in.
Yeah.
There is a lot of revolt, and people who we thought were automatically walking in,
including his brother,
are actually being rejected. Now, the second thing that has really worried me as a Kenyan, if I really was to think about Raila presidency, is in his own backyard, everyone who has lost has actually gone behind there and been issued a certificate. It's a disaster.
It's a disaster. And it hurts his presidential.
If you look at this, then it tells me.
So talk about it.
You know, we cannot pretend or wish it away. It is a telltale sign that something is not right, and it's no wonder he's very quiet. I don't know whether he's trying to come up with a new.
Suppose he's a kingmaker, then it means he's out of the equation. Right, he becomes now a kingmaker
and stays above the fray.
Yeah, above the fray.
But has to campaign actively.
So who do we go with? Who do we go with now?
Okay, Debarl, hear me out good.
Yes.
Because the inclusion of Mudavadi into the National Super Alliance, which was called before, did not cause the removal of Senator Moses Wetangula, they can realistically, not ideally, but realistically, we're talking real politics now, they can, in my opinion, marshal up to 4 million votes from the former Western province.
No, so can't get to 4.
Well, but
Western can only give 1.2,
no,
1.3.
No.
The total number of registered voters in Western is number 1.
No.
Western is not 4 million.
No, let's say
it's
3.
not 4 million.
Let's
it's not even 3.
All right,
registered voters in Western is 1.6, 1.7.
Let's get a ballpark figure, not exactly, but we can watch.
Let's go with the entire Western. Let's go. Maybe you can do you can list the zones down there.
Okay, with the zones.
The 1B, yeah, zones. The 1B would give. The 1B would give.
All right, zones.
The 1B option, yeah. The 1B option.
1B.
Yeah, would give all of Western.
All of Western.
All of Western.
Nyanza.
If Raila says so, if he endorses it fully and says like he did in 2002, it will give all of Western, all of Nyanza.
If Raila endorses?
Yes, if Raila endorses, including Luo Nyanza, it will give Coast, the whole of Coast.
Yes, all of Coast.
Yes, all of Coast. All of Coast.
Coast as well.
And all of Lower Eastern and probably part of, let's say Eastern, because also there's a lot of disillusionment with Jubilee.
And Eastern
as well. It will give all of Coast and Eastern. It would also give Northeastern, where there is, CORD used to have a lot of a big standing, and also given the miscalculations of Duale and those guys. And also, I don't know about the diaspora. Are they allowed to vote? Some. But also, a lot of the progressive vote
is still in court right now.
Yes. Now, what it would also do, Debarl, it's important to get this point, is that in a sense, it would also demobilize a lot of Central who are very disillusioned with Jubilee leadership, whose businesses are doing very badly, and who fear Raila but would not fear Mudavadi. Okay. So it would also immobilize a lot of Central.
I support him to the extent that for once you will have a single Western Kenya voters. But I can confirm to you the total registered voters in Western province is 1.375 million.
1.375.
Only. So the Mudavadi candidate, like if you're asking for 1B, if Raila is not the president, you're asking
Yes.
who should be the candidate. And I agree with Benji in totality that it can only be Mudavadi because of the basic reason is given. You want Western to come in. But I still insist, those will only work with absolute support and backing of Raila. In fact, he'll end up being the main campaigner. How do you get that done? That is the only question I keep trying to figure out. How do you get him being the main campaigner and he's not the main candidate?
A question. So if the fatigue gets him off, does he have room of support from the other communities that see him as a threat?
But he's the only candidate so far. Can we accept this fact that Raila so far is the only candidate, even if you compare with the president, who gets voting outside his COB group? For example, he has his vote block from Coast, he has his vote block from Western, he also has his vote block
In
from
fact,
half Nairobi.
Let me help you.
He's the only guy.
Let me help
Yeah,
you, because
yes.
I've studied this in detail.
Yes.
Raila Odinga is the only, and I hope somebody from NTV can tweet this.
Only
Raila
guy.
Odinga is the only politician in our lifetime
National.
who
As a
does
national.
not derive his power from his ethnic base.
Thank you.
Kalonzo Musyoka derives his power from Mwingi.
Mudavadi
Mwai
Vihiga.
Kibaki derived from Othaya.
Uhuru
Mudavadi from Western. Uhuru from Gatundu. These are things that we have
Mudavadi
looked
not
at.
even Western,
These
Vihiga.
are not things to
Vihiga.
do casually.
Yeah.
William Ruto derives his power
From Kalenjin.
from Sugoi, Kalenjin,
Yeah.
in Eldoret North, where he was a member of parliament. It is only Raila Odinga who has derived his ethnic base,
Outside the
non-ethnic
Luonyans.
base, out of Nairobi, and then gone to go nationally.
And that is why-
So for
yeah,
him also
yeah.
to be losing constantly is not a simple matter.
That
There's
is
a
why,
very big,
that is
much
why
bigger factor in
Debarl,
this.
that's why Debarl, it flies on the face when you talk about fatigue,
Yes.
yet you still expect him to deliver all those areas. In short, you are asking him not to be the candidate, but deliver 50% to the candidate. Now,
But you see,
how do
that's why
deal
I'm
with that?
asking
All
you,
right.
the two guys.
Yes.
I'm asking you because I think the fatigue term is a word of the elitists.
Yeah, it's
We
elitist.
must allow the democratic principle for the Kenyans to decide for themselves.
All right, so we chat fatigue and
I
Raila
think for
phobia.
me, fatigue is a wrong word. We all didn't see Trump win, for example. We all thought for the first time a woman was going to take there. So I think for me, let's see what they come up with.
But
I
also,
would
Madam
want to
Commissioner,
say-
Madam Commissioner,
Yes.
okay, when you win presidency and lose a popular vote by 3 million, and now you're on the defense every day and under siege, or sieke,
But you're not answering my question.
Have you really won?
We remove Raila because of the fatigue.
Okay.
So what do we add for Mudavadi and Kalonzo
Yes.
from the other communities that think...
Okay, can we hear from Prof? You have something to say briefly
First of
before
all,
we wind
as
up.
we do this mathematics. We should not rule out the Jubilee factor.
Yes.
Jubilee factor is key, and whether one wants it or not, they have also gained a lot of inroads, particularly in Western Province. That's number one. Number two,
Not at all.
well, they have.
Very limited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Number
Things are
two,
going on.
if you look at Raila himself, whichever way it goes, he's still the kingmaker, and he can also make the presidency. Now, let us look at Raila from outside the country. Let us look at our international relationship and Kenyan politics. Let's look at the Trump equation and the pronouncements that have been made by
Right.
the Department of
Prof,
State.
just hold on to that. We need to take a short break, then we come back. Just hold on, don't lose the track of thought. So we with you, Professor Wajackoyah. We want to know, you're talking about the Raila international factor as well, before we took a short break.
Yes. First of all, I had said that we should not ignore the Jubilee factor in Western.
Yes.
But I also put a footnote to that by saying that the people that Jubilee has taken on in Western are all mediocres or agents of doom, people whose time has come to harvest from Jubilee, and with that one they're cheating Jubilee. Jubilee will not get anything in Western. I'm sorry. Next, I'd also like to say that when it comes to the candidates, as you have mentioned them,
Yes.
Raila still comes out as a number one candidate, in my opinion, because he has not only gone through the wave of linkage within the domestic market of voters. Raila's inclination in the international world has put him and has put the international community, including the embassies here, Washington, and the European capitals, on a pedestal. They are looking at him as a person who has been consistent with the democracy, consistent with human rights, consistent with his own life. Raila has stood up and still stands up as a person who can be relied upon because of his friendly market theories in terms of globalization and the market. Now, the Raila factor, if you remove it from the pedestal, then that means that you'll be causing the international community to go back to the drawing table. When you look at Raila as a co-principal during the Kibaki administration, you can look at what he did. You can look at what he had in his mindset in terms of development. The man developed a road that has never had a pothole since that particular time as an administrative project, the Mbagathi Road.
That was before he was PM.
Before
that
he
was as Minister of
When he
Roads.
was Minister of Roads, yeah.
Yes. And if you look at his record of development, going up to the issue of devolution, Raila has paid the price. So anyone who comes in within this group that can overshadow him will actually be taking us back to the tribal kingpin. Mudavadi is my friend. Mudavadi has stayed with me in London. Raila has stayed with me when I was in London. I've known both of them as very close friends. But still, Raila stands up as a true Democrat, as a man who is willing to put his head in fire for purposes of human rights.
But we can say that it is really swinging on both sides of extremes,
yes,
in terms of appealing to the international community and here in the country as well. But
yes.
if we also took the pair of the Jubilee executive right now, Raila Odinga, not Raila, Uhuru Kenyatta, and also the Deputy President William Ruto as well. We know they had to shake off the ICC tag as well, and that also working with the international community was not really appealing by then, because there were clarion calls that they shouldn't be rallying for the presidency and also the executive offices. But we've seen over the years the international community has shaken off that particular tag, and they've warmed up to the presidency and the deputy presidency as well.
That is temporary warming up. Don't forget that the ICC issue is not yet complete. It's an issue which can be revised, and I'm not trying to say that Raila and Uhuru and Ruto should be taken back.
All right. So does it also mean that now they will actually fight, nail and tooth with this, so that they get that insulation they're having of the executive to remain in office because of the ICC tag as well? Definitely.
Can I
All right, let's hear from Mureu.
this? I think we're making a lot of assumptions here. If you look at the promises that are being made, they are premised on NASA getting majorities and being able to change the constitution, and Kenyans accepting to be loaded with more positions of power that will also again reduce the 80% revenue that is being used for recurrent expenditure to even more. Because by creating these offices that are being promised, it's just another additional expense to the country.
It's ridiculous.
It is a promise that is premised on the wrong assumptions. I mean, right now, we are looking at an election ahead of them. If I was sitting as Musalia or Wetangula or Kalonzo, and I'm being promised chief minister and deputy minister, and only 2 positions are guaranteed, which is the presidency and the vice presidency, then we are sitting on a disaster for the other remaining fellows. So they are being promised something that may never be. And at that point, when the elections have been called, I am the president, she's my vice president. You guys, unfortunately, the constitution cannot allow me to do anything. What will these other guys do? Caution to the wind. Now, if you look at development records, and I want to challenge my brother here about Raila's development record, it is not right. It is not right to just heap him with all this praise about development. If you look at his own backyard in Kisumu, if you look at Kibra here, where he has been member of parliament for a long, long time, that is a reflection of his leadership. Let us not go around thinking. So let us not heap praises. Every one of us has skeletons in our closet, but let us not prophesy or look at him like he's the ultimate solution. He has his own shortcomings. Today, I can tell you, and I'm not political, but I'm being driven to be political by this group. But if today you have a Raila Kalonzo presidency, Western Bloc moves away. I can tell you that. If you have a Mudavadi Kalonzo, Raila will not be able, and I've seen this from what I'm seeing from these elections, Raila will not manage his Luo Nyanza team and be able to think. So they're looking at it's like a case of crossing with a leopard, a goat, and some of these feed for the goat. which combination works best.
Let me change
any
something.
which way, my brother, any which way, there is bound to be some bleeding.
Let me challenge one concept that our senior person has talked about, that Western goes away if Raila is the candidate. That's a misnomer. In 2007, in 2013, he banked the total. Secondly, why do you forget one aspect? That the Western leadership, that is Wetangula and Mudavadi, are still locked in. So what will make Jubilee wake up today?
For nothing.
Wait.
Let's be realistic.
And Western is not voting for Raila because of Wetangula and Mudavadi, for heaven's sake. In two general elections, he's won there. So it is wrong, it is completely wrong for us to think that if you make Raila and Western easily moves to Jubilee. How many times has the president...
It's not going to be totally in his control.
How many times the president and the deputy president have tried wooing Western Kenya? And I've said they have made blunders after blunder. Two things. There's a common saying right now going around Western, saying things are changing.
Binche bichenjanga.
Bindu bijechanga. That is what are they saying? They're saying things are changing because of two things. Did you see the trips the president made to Western Kenya? And you could see the kind of reverberations from Western. There were two things. They were making two observations. That when the president goes to his backyard in Central, the amount of money and projects he launches dwarfs what he gives to Western. To be specific, Western Kenya guys were picking two projects. They were saying Mumia Sugar from 2012, the president has launched and relaunched almost four times. The last he gave them 1B. That thing has not worked up. Pan paper is the biggest PR disaster.
And even that one
they
bill is not really
have
accounted
relaunched
for.
3 times. They have sold it to the extent that it's a skunk. Now, you can't dissociate those factors and the feelings. And if you ask me, I think Jubilee, from day one, they had the best opportunity to lock in Western from 2013. They failed. They gave them a few token appointments, to be specific, as Prof was saying. Even the cabinet secretary from Western,
you know why?
They feel, in fact, she's not actually their own because she's married outside Western.
You know why?
So you can't tell me that, and you know, you can't again you can't dissociate. You can't again dissociate the fact that the Luo and the Luos are shemejis. Ni wa shemeji. That's why if Mudavadi is the ticket, Luo Nyanza still votes for him.
Right.
If Raila is the presidency, Western still votes for him.
So one thing you've raised also is Kalonzo being a constant here.
Can we also just
constant.
challenge him on this?
Yeah.
I think if I get appointed, I want to be appointed as a professional. I really don't think
that
I
is
want to
ideal.
be told that I was
this,
appointed by the president as a reward. We all know, for example, that the Chief Justice, and he has come out fighting.
Thank you so much. I wanted to say that.
I am qualified. I went through a process and got appointed. It's only that the Constitution says finally the appointing.
But that protestation is shouting in the
With
wind.
all due respect,
Winfred,
you are very right in saying this, that appointments should be, and I agree in totality, should be. However, do we have political capital out of appointment? Yes. Our politics are ethnicized to the extent we vote. For example, in Rift Valley, why is it's easy for DP telling our people that, why do you want to go out of government, yet we have all these positions? Why does that sell? Because there's an intertwining. Look, the ethnicity has made us measure our inclusivity based on appointments. To the extent, why do you think the president went to Kisii and told the Kisii voters in Nyamira, we have given you the Chief Justice? Was it just...
protest, it's just shouting in the wind.
It is
We
simply
are
because...
going back to where we started, that as a nation, we must change our
we must change, but we're talking about reality. We're just observing.
But with our political brand
We are
as
giving
well.
observations.
That is not a reality on the ground.
In fact, we are just commenting. Look here, we are not saying that that is the ideal we should. We are just saying it is a commentary. In fact, the question Debarl gave us here was, what factor, what will lead to one being voted for? And I've just said appointments play a critical role. And I was saying part of the reason why Western Kenya is revolting from the Jubilee is because of the feeling that they have been marginalized. That's a fact. In fact, to be specific, part of even the reason of that, Nancy Baraza falling from the judiciary, you would even hear the political undertones from Bungoma that they never fought for our daughter. That's a reality. Even yourself, Winfred, do you know when you are appointed politically, the politicians from your home area went back and bragged and said,
We appointed her.
We appointed her.
Daughter, yeah.
And they will go saying, we got her.
But we shouldn't sanitize
Oh, we are not sanitizing. We are not sanitizing.
Really, that is,
You know,
until we
it is-
remove ourselves.
And we are the elite until we decide that the best candidate wins.
What your uncle or your grandmother at home listening to you is saying, yes, our son now must also be given.
Yes.
Not at all.
Yes,
I'm giving an
I'm saying
observation.
reality.
I'm
You're
observing.
sanitizing
I'm
all
not
this-
sanitizing.
all this.
I'm meant to
What
comment
you're
and give
telling
an
me,
observation.
But you're looking at the reality of
I'm
it,
just
yeah?
giving an
Reality.
observation.
Reality,
Yes.
but it must not sanitize what has happened in the past and bring us around the rewards. Let us, if I were to sit here and speak about this openly, let us look at the pros and cons of this and what is it that they are going to bring and do different.
Do the voters
If
look at
in
that?
my
We're headed
my
there.
take,
We're
my
headed
take,
there, yes.
my take is if you look at all these guys, me, I'm very worried. Even from the Jubilee side, it is like our mothers stopped giving birth to new leaders. We are circulating the same leaders.
2022.
Same leaders. If you can't
someone
have
told me the other day-
so we are just being given that as the
When
only
Mureu,
choice.
someone told me the other day
As
that
the
the
only
problem with
choice. You
Kenyans
can't have that.
is they vomit, then they go back and take the same. It is a
it's
circulation of the same.
That's why I keep quiet.
There's issues to be discussed here, very serious issues to be discussed here. I agree with Boyo that Western wouldn't move, but the fact of the matter is that you cannot sanitize some of these leaders'
It is
records.
not
You cannot
sanitization.
one second. You cannot recreate them. Raila's track record as Prime Minister is very clear for all to see. Very lackluster. Allegations of corruption all over the place.
But
The
everyone
fact
is
of the
enrolled in
matter-
corruption.
KKV.
The fact of the matter,
yeah,
Kazi kwa vijana and many others.
Put
Debarl.
this country in the hands of women and let's see what they
100%
will be able to
Debarl.
put
I
this
agree.
country in the
Yes,
hands of
yes.
women and we see where we can
Debarl.
go.
Yeah,
We
Rwanda
must
is
talk.
working.
All right, just a
65%
moment.
women.
Let-
Rwanda is working.
Okay, just finish. We want to move on also to get another pair as well.
We must talk real politics. And to be fair, show is not just here just to analyze Raila.
All right.
All these combinations here, including former VP Kalonzo, have track records. They have records. They have reputations, things which you cannot redefine overnight, lack of performance, etc. So it's very, very, very painful.
All right, so-
that even with Jubilee's obvious miscalculations and misperformance,
Okay.
the opposition also, I think you agree, Kiptoo,
Thank you.
has been extremely lackluster.
Thank you.
as well.
Thank you.
We can
Okay,
talk
all
about
right.
the issue.
Yes.
Just before you think it. If for one moment, and maybe the next time before these elections are held, can we also bring out other possible leaders for this country?
We need to look for new
Because
leaders.
we seem to have been locked out with only this choice.
But
Or
Kenyans
this
are very
choice.
frustrated.
No,
Debarl.
we can bring out
I
other
said it.
possibilities
Yeah.
and make Kenyans.
We will, with time.
There's
Just
Dr.
be
Mureu,
patient, with time.
I have already said it before here that look here, 2017 is the
the- yeah,
watershed
it's the
period.
watershed,
I've
he's
said
right,
it.
yeah.
Let's be realistic on this. You know, there's a problem of just being aspirational and not acknowledging reality. Politics is a realistic game. The reason why the elite always get it wrong is because we talk to ourselves. We talk among ourselves, go back. Like, for example, yesterday someone made a comment that PK is leading in 2 constituencies, that the Twitter South and the Facebook North.
Yes.
Why were they saying that? Because when we sit here, we'll talk aspiration. The way
The
Sonko
elites
is
now.
nothing.
Yes.
But the reality
And
is
ideally,
he's turning the vote. So the point I was trying to make here, Daktari, was simple thing, that in as much as we want the new leadership, how do we get there? And my point has been simple. 2017 offers the best moment of that flip over. In what
beginning
way?
of the end.
If we have a Raila Uhuru candidature or contest, it's a simple case of the final. That is the grand
finalization
final.
of that
In
dynasty,
fact, I really feel for all these other guys come 2022. I've said 2 things. They'll be facing new voters. The millennial voters don't think the same way. For example, did you guys see what happened in the US when it came to Hillary Clinton? The Democrats, like in 2008 and 2012, were able to get the young. Why is it the same young turned up for Bernie Sanders? Because these were different voters. They were not just the old traditional Democratic voters. They were different. They wanted something. They wanted some magic. That's why Obama came in over and over and tried telling them, even though Hillary does not actually capture your aspiration, please vote for her. And you see, in fact, part of the reason she lost in those key constituencies was because inability to turn such constituencies.
Okay.
That's why I've said 2022, Daktari, is when you get the
But
flip
let's
over.
also,
But
in
be
fairness-
realistic
Okay.
about now.
In fairness,
All right, let's do
acknowledge
deeper
that the
also.
mismanagement of Bernie Sanders voters up to 8 million of them, is what also led to Trump's victory. So let's also acknowledge that as strategists and as analysts.
Thank you. All right, the constant factor here remains Kalonzo Musyoka being the constant factor. All right, so it is a given that today he has to be in the choice.
It's a constant factor.
It's a constant factor. Let's move on now. Mudavadi, Kalonzo, have we analyzed that?
Yes, we have.
We have.
Yes.
So which other pair? Okay, it's the best one. This Mudavadi, Kalonzo, Raila being the kingmaker today.
Yes.
Okay. Which other options do we have?
The other options that we have...
Of course, we strike out Mudavadi Wetangula. That is not...
Yeah, you can write it and then strike it out.
Yeah.
Mudavadi...
For the purposes of our audience.
Mudavadi...
M-U-D-A. Mudavadi...
Mudavadi...
Wetangula. Then just strike it out. Let's not even waste time analyzing it.
Okay.
Just run a line through it.
Okay, we struck it out today. So this won't be an option today.
No.
For ethnic reasons, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So which other pair do we have?
Raila, Mudavadi.
Raila, Isaac Ruto.
No. Isaac, is he running for presidency or is running for...
No, he's a principal, but he says he's not running for the presidency.
He's not running.
Strike him out.
So
in fact,
Raila Ruto...
So does that mean he can't be running it?
No, he's just going for Bomet governorship. He's already made it clear.
All right.
Yeah, so he's out of equation.
So he's out of equation.
So Wetangula and Isaac Ruto stay out.
All right.
Yeah.
So which other pair do we have?
Musyoka, Mudavadi.
Musyoka, Mudavadi.
Yeah,
because
flipping 1B flipped.
1B has been, there's been a comment that 1B can go either way.
Yes, exactly.
That it can either be Mudavadi Kalonzo, Kalonzo Mudavadi.
Yeah.
That has been the conversation
Either way, it's a strong one.
That
Mudavadi being the flag bearer can do much more. So I'm still yet to confirm this registered voter because
it's 1.37.
Much more than that 1.37.
They didn't register. Western Kenya didn't register.
And that's another thing, which we must talk about. Yes. When we talk about the cluelessness of the opposition, you're not in government, you're keeping your house in order, all right? You're keeping your alliance in order. Why would you not register voters? This is against an inept administration, against people who are your political juniors. By the time someone like Ruto came to be elected the first time, Kalonzo Musyoka had been a minister in all ministries in this country. Yes, so this is, for many, many years. This is terrible.
May I comment on registration of voters?
Please.
Why would you not register voters?
I've participated in political parties meetings and also the political parties liaison committee, and I brought up a suggestion on registration of voters as a government obligation, not political parties obligation. And the theory I had was like, if somebody is born, somebody reaches the age of majority, should not be issued with a driver's license or any other certificate until the person registers as a voter. That cuts costs, minimizes these political doldrums of political parties being given the opportunity or told to go out there and register them. If we can have that methodology, I oppose registration of voter registration at the with the kind of remedies available. Like you can't have a driver's license if you're not a registered voter. I oppose. Well, you're always opposing anyway. You cannot...
With the reason.
Well, thank you very much. But give me time to speak because this is realistic. It cuts government funds and revenue. If we had easier ways of doing this rather than waiting for political parties to go out there and register people in zones that are there to maintain their political advantage over the opponents. So registration is key if the government gets involved, allocates the budget for it, and makes it mandatory. Like in the US, you cannot do certain things unless you do what have you. For example, now I have a driver's license here. My driver's license is written on the state of Arizona. It has all my information here. It gives whoever is mandated to look at me in the eye just by swapping.
Show the card on the back.
Yes. So if we made it easier for the government to start matriculating in that particular area, then people will be registered.
Prof,
why do I refuse?
One second. Let me just interject here.
But I thought those were the National Transport and Safety Authority is coming up with a smart card as well. I don't know if that could be a good idea.
Voting can be all embedded in that one card. So even as a millennium kids become of age, rather than be issued with a standard ID, let them be issued with an all-inclusive that captures all
a smart ID.
It is not fair and right and just to force and compel citizens to participate in elections.
They don't have
One
to.
second, yeah,
They
but I'm
don't
saying
have
to
It
force
is-
people to register as voters. One second, the reason we had low voter registration in the last few months is because Kenyans by and large are tired of lying politicians who have no idea and no clue and offer no hope. The day we have an inspiring candidate, you will find Kenyans coming out to vote, to register, and to opt to choose.
Precisely.
Not for you to force them.
But how
Can I-
do you,
can I- can I-
how-
can I-
how
can I
do you,
interject?
for
All right,
example,
let's hear from Lichuma.
how do you promote nationhood?
Yes,
Because
that's
clearly I
exactly
think
what-
what they are
yes,
saying
yes.
is, let everyone have the card,
Yes.
and on this day, choose whether you
whether to
want to
go
go and
and vote
vote or not.
Why should I have a card if I'm not
the
in the process?
registration,
It's
I
better
want
to
to
inspire
agree,
people
we did monitor
to take
that
the card.
exercise. We did monitor that exercise. It's so skewed and cannot help
With all the
Kenyans
dishonesty in
come
this
out.
country,
Can I-
register
no,
people. That is
let
the
him
only-
not get
One
it.
person
You
at a
only have
time.
people
Benji,
finding out
let him
that
finish,
they
we'll
voted
come to
when
you.
they didn't. Madam, and you know that.
But Debarl,
Yes.
I think we want to put Ndolo in order here. He's cutting
How am I out
everybody
of
in.
order?
No, you're cutting in and you're not letting anybody deliver their message across. Please just go easy because you're also going to benefit from what we are saying.
All right.
I'm saying,
Yes.
if everybody, at the time you're being registered, that smart card has your voter registration, becomes your voter registration, your driver's
ID.
license. I have also lived in Australia, same thing. And the day of election, if you look at the cost of doing this election, I'm speaking again as a businessman, the cost of these registration exercises that are always extended is a colossal expense to this country. So we are saying, let that card embed everything, your ID, your driving license, your voters' rights, in that one card.
Wait.
And
Am I missing something?
and also something like the passport as well.
ID.
It's
I'm
a
saying,
national, it's a national
Because
question.
I thought there was a procurement of the same since, like, when the late Otino Kajwang was immigration
Yes.
minister, the fight they had with Mudhaura was about coming up with a similar system. And one of the notions that always comes out, the only reason we never automate things, Daktari, and you've been here long enough in Kenya to understand, the only reason we would oppose such a move is simply because the status quo favors those who man those offices. For example, why is it that the National Land Commission and the Ministry of Land
We have
has
not gone
refused to
digital.
automate?
Yes.
So you are very right. In fact, I think if as a country we were a country that really wanted to make things work, your proposal should have been done even before I was born in the 80s.
Because I
As
remember,
to why
yes.
up to now we are not having it, zero. I
Can
cannot
I tell
understand.
you why? Can I tell you why?
Yes.
Because we don't do it as a continuous exercise. What we do is we wait until we have balkanized our people,
Yes.
and we want now to throw them into this frenzy of registering as a voter.
No, no, no.
But even without
just-
voter-
We tend to disagree with that because I think
let me finish, then
Yeah.
you disagree.
All right, okay.
Debarl. What we do is we have always waited. Voter registration comes. We know that there is going to be election in the next 5 years. We can have a continuous, as people become of age, they get their voter registration. So that it's not a crisis where people
Well,
say
that's actually
they
in
are
the
refusing.
Constitution. That's in the Constitution.
It should be a continuous thing. You become of age, you go register, carry your voter ID together with your driving license, together with everything, all embedded in one. Now, whether you are going to participate in the election when the elections are called is another thing.
Mr. Mureu.
And there will be no,
Mr.
there will be
Mureu.
no this question of people creating. I saw something very shameful.
But
Here
could
in
it- could it-
Nairobi,
could it be that
people
people-
were making voter cards,
Excuse me, sir.
now as we are talking, because
Excuse me, sir.
they said the only thing that you'll be allowed to use is a voter card and your ID. Now,
which does not make any lick of sense at all because
it is
just a moment.
forgeries.
We
But
had
people
also
make
from
a
one of the
tamper-proof,
commissioners. Listen,
gadget.
Mr. Mureu, one of the commissioners also from IBC, I think from the previous commissioners, they are also coming to the fore and saying there is no need for us to be having, a voter's ID and the ID itself. You can use your ID to vote.
One document only.
One document.
Yeah.
But it is because also people want to game the system to gain from it. He talks about the status quo. Why do we want the status quo? People are eating from this.
system.
This is a
Not even
corruption.
that.
In fact,
You know,
as
me as a taxpayer,
Debarl.
I would rather not.
birth certificate and death certificate.
Let's go into a wrap, then we
single.
move on.
Mr. Mureu, you know the reason I'm a bit hot? This is a national live broadcast.
It's been hot, yeah.
Yeah, this is a live broadcast. You have lived in Kenya longer than I have
Yes,
to know
for sure.
that if you have automatic registration, for example, you will easily find people, and you saw this 2 months ago, saying, hiya, I'm in this database. Hiya, I voted. So you don't also want to, you know, collect data, knowing Kenya for what it is, and give someone a very easy ride, just taking a database, using it in nefarious ways, which is the reality of the country that we're in. So we want to define these national values.
Right, Mr. Ndolo. So you want us to remain with the status quo?
Efficiency.
Just a moment, let's hear from Kiptoo.
I would support Daktari and disagree with Benji on this. Automation and synchronization makes it easier. Makes it, in fact, it is a in thing, one thing. If you go to immigration department, how have they gotten it right when it comes to applying for passport? Do you remember the days when you had to fork out 30,000 and wait for 2 months to get a passport? But when they make it one integrated system, that right now, if I'm to apply for visa, it is so straightforward because they have my file, which is not manual per se, they have my database. So the point here is, which I think the three panelists are bringing on board is, let us make it so easy. When we have this one piece of documents that can give all my details, like, in fact, whatever the so-called social security number should give everything you need from me. Now, the only thing here is, but Benji is right on this. Benji is right on this. Our institutions always misuse. Can I use a case in point? Yes. Do you remember when the issue of Joho came in and the SIM or where the national government seemed to be hitting at him? Did you see how it was so easy to extract information from every entity? A call was being made and NEC comes up, writes a letter. So if we are moving that, Benji, we would be moving into one system for efficiency, and it is for the benefit of the majority, but it should also come with a rider that the same again cannot be misused against a person. But I agree in totality. The world has moved for you. Like, for example, as a lawyer, I find it difficult, for example, Debarl, we do not have a synchronization like the death register and the birth register.
Exactly. So we have wrong figures.
Like, for example, like when IBC was trying to verify the number of registered voters, they made it clear that they cannot even rely on the Kenya National Bureau of Registration. You can imagine. And that is the national institution that has the figures and the data. IBC said, we don't know which is theirs because theirs has not been updated. Do we have one system that if a person dies, automatically every system?
Which are looting money all over the place.
That is the point. So for efficiency purposes, we would get that done.
This is the country we live in.
Simple.
I agree.
But we need to begin to improve it. We need to begin to improve it, colleagues. So we need to have one document.
I think this is a conversation for another day because I think we're going off the rails as well.
Have we agreed on this?
Have we agreed? All of us? No, we haven't, because there's some people who are neutral here. So, which is a likely for the day? Because we want to also to look at the individuals as well. Who is squeaky clean? Because we're talking about good performance from Raila Odinga, performance from maybe Kalonzo Musyoka, Mudavadi. All of them we want to see. Have they been embroiled in corruption? Yeah, are their track records clean as well? We're talking about leadership and integrity. Right now we have the Kenya National Human Commission, which is seeking an advisory opinion also from the courts on what the leadership and integrity chapter 6 of the Constitution is all about. Right? What does it really mean? Because there's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to that piece of legislation.
Which was by design. Yes.
And yes, in tandem with the general election, how do they juxtapose?
Let me say this. When it comes to corruption, and we go individually, I will start with Raila Odinga. And I know that my friend here might have thought that I was taking a partisan approach.
Okay, can I wrap this, guys?
Yeah. Okay. If you look at...
so we analyze one by one?
Yes.
Yes.
If you look at the foreign institutions, the foreign financial institutions in Western Province, and I will speak as a person who is a sugarcane farmer, a person who belongs to the community that has lived and thrived their livelihood in Mumias Sugar Company.
Does Kidero show case anywhere there?
Yes, Mumias Sugar Company has fallen in the hands of Raila Odinga.
I applaud your honesty.
Yes. The reason why I'm saying this is that when he put Kidero in Mumias Sugar Company, things went
Did you put him there?
Yes.
Went south, yes.
He appointed Kidero?
Yes.
I thought he was before 2007.
Okay.
Yes. Now, Mumias Sugar Company has been looted dry. Because of the Raila Odinga factor. And that I will be on record today to tell Kenyans openly, as a person who comes from Mumias, and as a person who is crying for our people in Mumias, that the sugarcane company was brought down by the Raila regime.
So this is on corruption?
On corruption.
Okay.
Number two, Ndoia Sugar Company, whose appointees were, as a result of sharing Nusumkate, were also appointed, and particularly the chairman was appointed through the Raila issue. Zoya Sugar Company.
Chairman naitwa nani?
The then chairman was from a place known as Maraj Ptula. I'll remember the name. The Sugar Company came down because of the Raila factor. Now, if you go ahead again, we have not seen anything that Raila Odinga has done in Western Province in terms of development. Yet he had the capacity to do that.
All right, let's go on with the corruption list because also we're strapped for time. We need to go to, it will be on fire to go through Raila. Kazi kwa vijana.
The appointment of the status quo during his government with Mwai Kibaki. Look at the appointments from Western Province.
On appointments, yeah?
None, other than one who was appointed from Busia County, and a lady who was appointed, who later on it was found out that she was a relative to Raila's wife.
Okay.
So let us actually...
Nepotism.
Nepotism, yes.
Nepotism.
And if we come to the Raila factor also, we shall find out that the diplomatic appointments, starting with Los Angeles,
yes,
that was his sister who was a chemist.
Burial.
Yeah, who was not bright enough even to be a diplomat.
Okay.
When you go to France, the ambassador to France was also appointed through nepotism.
And the US.
And the US. So let us not just come here and praise people because they have been there. And I will agree with my learned friend here.
Okay.
That 2012 will see a crop of new leadership. 2022 will see a crop of new leadership.
All right. So for that they have been adversely mentioned in the BAT scandal, in the Ndolo report as well.
A fact check, Professor.
Fact check, yes, please.
Mumia Sugar CEO Evans Kidero was appointed in 2003. And I don't think Raila was the appointing authority.
Yes,
so we can't say
Raila
appointed Kidero to loot Mumias.
That's
a fact check.
If you look at what has been happening in Mumias...
Okay, fact check, we can't
fact check that one. In fact, the draft report that was investigating the Mumias mess, which did a report as late as 2016, does not put Raila as the person behind. In fact, it is firmly in Kidero's hands and feet.
Okay, so this remains very fuzzy.
That is far-fetched.
This is very fuzzy. We cancel it.
However,
we have a report on the same.
However, just a moment, one person at a time.
Let us not, like I keep saying here, let's not throw the baby in the bathwater. However, Kidero, who is the governor of Nairobi, with all the mismanagement, you have never had Raila Odinga coffee.
That's what I was coming.
So there are other wider
the molasses plant, the dry materials.
The issue is we cannot point directly
and say Mumias is his baby. It's not. It is Kidero's. It is Evans Kidero through and through.
No,
Yes.
but
He was the CEO.
Could we talk about the Kazi kwa vijana briefly?
Because that is him now.
Yeah.
That is his department.
What really happened with the Kazi kwa vijana?
It was
maybe just to bring to
funds
bear.
which were completely
Misappropriated.
all over the place, misappropriated.
Yeah.
And Raila just played politics as Prime Minister on the floor of the House. A lot of allegations round and round in circle, no value for money, that was a finding, and also blocking of the report.
Benji has said it so well on Kazi kwa vijana.
Of course, and the maize factor as well.
Okay, the maize factor is here because in 2011, the WikiLeaks, also whistleblower organization, leaked U.S. government diplomatic cables.
Yes.
And one of the reports claimed that Raila's family, not Raila, was involved in the 2009 maize scandal.
Yes.
Former U.S. Ambassador Michael Rosenberger
That's a fact.
wrote that he says,
fact,
quote unquote, we have credible reports that members of Odinga's family, presumably with his knowledge and involvement, were involved in the maize scandal.
Now, for the maize scandal, it's a fact because it was implemented under his office.
It says that the former Agriculture Minister, William Ruto, for the maize scandal, in order to divert public attention from his family's culpability.
Yes.
So did it load it over to William Ruto?
William Ruto was under his office.
Agriculture was under
his maize scandal.
Yeah,
now let's put it into context, Debarl.
Yes.
Let's put it into context.
Okay. Let's look at the 1 billion mansion in Kisumu.
Yes.
1 billion.
Riyadh Hills.
Whatever. If you look at,
let's put it into context.
If you calculate the salaries of a prime minister or an MP from 1963 up to now, or even the president, it cannot reach 1 billion.
But we cannot also...
But he has money even before that.
We cannot rule out that, yes.
He was
of course, from their family money, inheritance,
a big one.
they have businesses as well.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to contextualize the maize scandal, Debarl.
Yes,
you know,
please.
we're talking of leadership in this country. We're talking of politics and integrity in this country.
Yes.
This maize scandal came about as a result of lack of food and maize in this country. In other words, Kenyans were starving. So the leadership took steps to import maize, etc., to go ahead then and bring toxic maize or to profiteer from it tells you the character, the content of character of a leader. So this is not just confined to money. This involved MP Ababu Namwamba, involved Waziri William Ruto, involved their boss, and finally, Mzee Kibor said this was the easiest money he had ever made in his life,
for time.
which made $1 million.
Let's leave it at that with Raila, because we need to come to other candidates as well, so that it doesn't seem to be very
party
unfair.
nominations would be the last one.
Can we look at Kalonzo as well?
Oh, it's,
I don't have left party nominations.
it is the biggest mess.
Alright, can we list
number 6 is party nominations. Working certificate number 6.
Party nominations?
Yes.
Party nominations.
For Raila, it is the biggest scandal.
Because it's the biggest scandal in Kenya.
The biggest scandal.
That anyone who loses, for example, if it's a cousin or the brother, they can go to his house and cry.
Minus even the
and
brother.
then they are announced.
All right,
It's like
let's come to
they have
Kalonzo
a
very quickly. We'll start for time so that we
I'm hoping after this exercise, then you'll also point to me a leader in this country who can meet the leadership
Yes, it's a
integrity
painful reality, but we
as
must
per
go
the
through it.
chapter 6 of the Constitution.
Painful,
Benji.
madam, but we must go through it.
Benji.
Yes.
Okay, guys, Kalonzo.
Give us something
What
on
do we have on
Kalonzo,
Kalonzo?
Benji.
What do we have on Kalonzo?
Yatta farm.
The Yatta farm.
Yatta farm.
Can we get clarification on what Yatta farm is all about?
Of course, what they say is that
we had Governor Mutua really coming to the fore with the public accounts committee.
Of course, as with everything, they never find anything. But these were allocations. He bought it from a Kalenjin lady. These were allocations from the former Moi regime that were done, I guess, on preferential basis. It has come out to be a scandal, especially because Kalonzo has run for a long time as Mr. Clean. And now this has hurt his image big time, on top of all the other things on watermelon. So the Yatta farm would have been one of them.
The controversial foundation, Kalonzo Foundation.
Not so much.
Yes.
What about
It
the Kalonzo
hasn't
Foundation
done
as well?
saving
Oh, it has done nothing.
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 Receive funding, but
Interesting.
nothing.
Well,
So-
also it has educated kids. I don't know. how
Maybe
you
token
quantify-
appreciation here.
Accountability in that.
Yeah,
in that
accountability is
I
not
would
questionable, but it has taken kids
I would say,
abroad.
I think for Musyoka it will be
So are
difficult for you.
are we dealing with hearsay and rumors?
No. Wait,
Yes,
wait.
I
wait.
think
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
when
yeah.
we're dealing with the
And that is what-
character of
Yeah.
individuals,
Yeah, it's very-
I
I agree
think
with
I
you.
really
Yeah.
want to say, let's put on the table what
Factual.
is credible.
What is facts?
For
Yeah.
Musyoka, it will be difficult for you to pinpoint a corruption scandal that has kind of graced the headlines, but he's the kind of a guy who's played it safe in all his years in government
And done nothing.
That
In fact,
is
for
the
me-
only
for me-
accusation.
For me,
So he's
for
played
me,
safe.
That's
He's
a liability.
guilty.
Yes.
Guilty.
Zero.
He's
of
guilty.
Staying on the fence.
Yeah,
Staying on the fence.
Yeah.
Okay, let's come to
But there's something I wanted to
staying
just
on the
add.
fence.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
put a question mark on
Yes.
Kalonzo
Yes,
when it comes to
What
bail
has he
and
done? The
corruption.
question.
There's something I just wanted to
But we're
add,
strapped for time, guys, so we need to
just a
rush
quick
quickly
one
to
on
other guys.
Kalonzo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, one of the things that really just rules me away from Kalonzo is, one time he's on record as having said that he was trying to portray himself as a hustler and he was educated, but his sister had to forego her education to be able to
For him to
receive.
move.
Now the TV cameras showed us where the sister was deprived of education, living like in abject
squalor.
poverty.
All right, thank
and
you.
for me,
That's Kenya's
that's
just
just
for you.
Wetangula,
We saw the same of
Dibal, you're rushing
Tokyo.
too fast. Dibal,
No,
I
cause
think
of time.
number three.
Cause of time.
Number three,
But
you
they
have
do
just
not do
put zero
justice.
track record, just to be
Zero
fair.
track record.
Because zero
Yeah.
track record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, after 30 years in service, that's what he has been accused of. Zero track record. The
Watermelon.
delivery, yeah.
Nothing.
Okay. Wetangula.
Wetangula, Tokyo.
Tokyo.
The Tokyo.
He ate
I
a whole
thought he was
embassy.
cleared.
No, he ate a whole embassy.
no,
Madam,
No, it's not.
No. I am a sitting commissioner. That we have to go by the Constitution of Kenya. It is the Constitution of Kenya. We need to protect people's character.
Yes, we need to protect.
I know,
Okay, we're not
but
here for
let's go
character
by the
assassination.
Constitution.
But if you don't have facts,
That
yeah.
one I will not.
We're just highlighting.
I can answer that.
Just a moment. We're just highlighting to verify where it went.
True.
Where we
We
are.
have
So
crossed
we have
Yeah.
crossed the two of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So we'll
People are
cross it
building
up.
apartments here in Lavington,
Oh,
all
okay.
over Mulolongo here, collecting rent.
Okay.
Now for
Yes.
Tokyo, if you remember the Tokyo scandal is how much we spent to get whatever the embassy
God's
that we
sake.
never got.
Yes.
Now, it is not neither here nor there. It's a
Act
fact
of
that
responsibility.
money was lost.
Absolutely.
And
Madam,
three people were fingered out. Three people were fingered out. You had the
It's very
minister,
wrong.
you had the PS,
The PS is
and you
running
also
for the
had
ambassador.
whatever
But
the
they
Guru
all are
guy.
running. So where is our integrity? and
Waiguru is
treating young
running.
people
Yeah,
by
Waiguru is
this?
running.
They all are
That is
running.
All right,
what
just
we
a
are.
moment. All are
You
running.
said at the end of this day we'll have tried
Yeah.
to
So
bring
Tokyo is is on his face.
Okay, BAT scam.
Yeah.
We remember the BAT as well. I think that is in
comment
court.
on that.
Huge.
They will say, oh, this is subdued this rule, but of course, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, we're not
as well.
going into the merits of
Details,
it.
We're
but
just
it's
going into the
very-
objects of a case.
It's in
Yeah.
there, it's a
But can we
ball
discuss a bit of a BAT? Because I think also he was embroiled in this.
Turkana oil also, yeah, because of the
Turkana oil?
Put it
Turkana
there.
oil, yes.
Turkana oil. He was one of the purchasers who identified, who zoned out, who bought not on open market, etc.
Okay.
And used his office for that.
Okay.
And his wife should have been
Mudavadi.
into character. The scandal with his wife.
Yes.
He
Which
was
is what?
beaten.
Leadership when it
You know, sometimes
Gender
also
based violence.
Can Lichuma come in now?
What is this? With fairness, let us ask with kindness.
He was
and
beaten.
humility. A national leader goes and says, my wife assaulted me, and the wife says, my husband assaulted me, and it's on record in a police station. Is that befitting of a national leader?
Not at
It's
all.
a fair question.
Okay.
No, no, no,
It's a
but
fair- I'm not passing that,
he
it's a fair
suffered
question.
violence, and men need
And
to
the wife
come
went
out
to court.
and report when
So
they
he
suffer
put here
violence.
suffered violence.
Yes, he suffered violence.
Gender violence.
Gender violence.
And the deputy president is making fun of the same.
Exactly.
Saying,
Okay,
Gives now
let's
further.
come to Musalia as we're winding up with Musalia.
Golden
Suffered,
Gender violence. Gender violence.
suffered gender violence.
Goldenberg.
Okay.
Graves.
Yeah.
All right, let's begin with Musalia, please. Suffered gender violence.
But is that used against him or in his favor, the gender violence?
It works both ways, I think. It swings. Okay, guys.
Let's go to
Musali.
Mudavadi.
Mudavadi.
Put the line.
Goldenberg.
Put the line. Then we go to down there. Down there. Put the line. Then we go down.
Will it pick?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Mudavadi.
Can
Let me,
tilt.
or I can wrap this. Can I
No,
wrap
no,
this?
no, no, no. Because
Okay.
you want a pictorial.
Okay.
Mudavadi.
Mudavadi. All right.
Muda.
Let's begin. The first one.
Goldenberg.
Goldenberg.
Involvement in Goldenberg.
That is the only one I can
The grave.
remember. Oh, the grave.
Langata Cemetery.
Yeah, the Rana cemetery.
Goldenberg.
Local government ministry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the graves in the
That's the same.
Langata.
government, yeah. Langata
Yeah.
Cemetery.
Langata
Scandal.
cemetery scandal.
Allocation
Wow.
of land, selling, disbursement of funds.
His own advocate, his own lawyers.
Slowly. Which one? Okay, which is the third one?
I have no idea.
Mr. Ndolo appears to have a lot of information.
Oh, yes.
But you must work. I work hard on this every day. I'm a governance. I'm a senior government consultant. I must have information.
Okay, who
I
have we
think
left?
for Mudavadi, that is it. And again, you can pick out for Mudavadi what we gave for Kalonzo, in the sense that he's been in government for so long.
Okay.
Can we
Zero
speak
track?
of, like the track record, what can we remember?
What is the track
of?
record? The
Nothing.
flagship projects that we
Nothing.
make. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, there was something
Track
on
record.
insurance.
Oh yes,
There was something on insurance. Musalia.
What exactly?
All right.
Zero track record. Yeah.
Zero track record.
That's a
And
good
also,
synopsis.
So
it's
this
on infrastructure.
infrastructure.
Yeah, he actually signed a deal with a Japanese company to do away with the left-hand motor vehicles from this country without the fact being.
And the Mahindra was also.
Mahindra was under his docket.
Oh,
Yes.
that was under him. Yeah.
So
That was a
Mahindra
scandal.
was it?
I think he was the finance minister.
Yes.
I think it was possibly the finance.
So what is the
minister.
clarity with Mahindra?
I don't know. I just saw
Okay,
something
let's
like,
leave it because that is a
no,
bit
I
blurrish.
think the car, the three-stroke engine vehicles that were brought for police or something. But that was during.
But that is another Pandora's box. All right. So
Let's leave those.
in light of this, so we're going today to keep our eyes peeled and keep out our ears to listen in and
So
see.
then we have no candidate.
No,
Sorry?
No, we
by
have-
Kenyan
That's what you're
standards,
saying?
Raila is the strongest.
Yeah.
By Kenyan standards, that's a lot of money. That is more scandals. That is more bravado. So by Kenyan standards, Raila is the best. This is where we are, and we must accept. And it's wrong, but we must change.
I want to thank you so much.
No, can I
guys.
just say
We
something?
need to sign
You
up
know,
now.
I think we'll be sued.
Can I
This
tell you
area-
briefly? Just
Very briefly.
You know,
Yeah, but you are-
know
you've been a lawyer.
when God wanted to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yeah.
he asked if there is anybody who can intervene for these people so that he doesn't destroy them. And in our case, I think we have reached a Sodom and Gomorrah stage where we say, who amongst this, who be launched today, can save this country? Is there anyone that meets the threshold of leadership in this country?
People like you who
Big
stay away,
question.
they lead, they talk from the office, and they hide
Exactly.
chairs.
Yeah, they run away
are
from the public.
And
And
treat
they
us-
just go to the ground.
Leadership has
We
been
need to
soiled.
develop, in my view, nationhood,
Yes.
which is missing in this country, patriotism. The same thing, if
Thank you.
you applied the same rule to all our
All of us,
leaders,
yes, all
none
of
of them will meet the test.
threshold.
But
But you
maybe
know what?
Thank you.
the
We know
what?
message to
Madam,
Kenyans, the message to Kenyans is go out there,
Madam,
elect
Madam,
wisely.
it starts with these conversations. We're reaching millions of viewers. It
Yeah.
starts with these conversations. We must put this country first. We must take our work seriously.
Thank you.
We must not take a casual approach to everything.
Thank you.
These are very serious issues.
Professor
And
Wajackoyah.
for me, I can see these people bisecting the constitution coming in with the egoistic stomachs, going in for their individual gain. Why would we take a country the size of Texas and divide it into so many regimes, divide it into so many jobs without considering the poor man on the street?
Thank you.
All this thing of NASA is a sham. If it comes in, this country will fall down.
Thank you. Very briefly, 30 seconds, Mureu.
Mine is just to say we are at a crossroad, an important crossroad. I would urge people to elect pro-business leaders. Pro-business leaders, because it's businesses that will sustain this country.
Thank you.
We grow businesses, we grow employment, we grow opportunities.
Joshua.
Yes.
Very briefly, I would say that we need to be realistic with what we have. Let's appreciate what we have for the moment, but keep our eyes firmly on the future, in the sense that our focus at the moment is what is the best we can get from what we have. So far, so good, based on what we've done as part of our analysis, we have not been able to get a clean person. So this is what we have for now. But that should be our motivation. We need to get as angry as possible so that in the next election, we don't just comment, we participate and become part and parcel of the same.
Right.
Change can only come if we participate, and it starts with one person.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.